Let's go on an astrology sleigh ride, shall we? It's good to embrace the cold. Get some exercise, get some grounding in. You know, I don't know how many people realize that any sense of the what is going on with energy, with reality, with frequency. There'll be moments where things downshift on our way up to 2030, but this is Pluto in Aquarius now. It's in an air sign, a very out there air sign. This isn't Pluto in Capricorn anymore, where at least things were more grounded. And so in an air sign with Pluto, where it wants to plan, it wants to drill, it wants to go deep, we have to be strategic's not so much the word. It's more so just about taking a step back, thinking, looking outside the box of like, where are we really putting our energy? Where are we really putting our energy, our intense focus of our thinking? With Jupiter retrograde still in Gemini, we can, want to have the, not ambivalent, but like beneficial, abundant, like thinking, where we want the facts to match the desired experience that we want to have in reality. But that's not always the case with Jupiter and Gemini now, is it? Right? We have to still stay positive, but it's a whistle while you work energy. And then South Node of Libra, I think sometimes is trying to find that grass is greener effect and weighing things out too much. North Node Chiron in Aries, it's just like we just got to put the emphasis, the effort into what it is we need to heal in ourselves to step into a more potent identity, and to see that with all this air energy, it's important to make sure that our beliefs are connected to something that's going to take us to truth. Pluto in Aquarius, that we're able to manage all the circumstances and facts of our reality, not get too wishy-washy in our thinking with that South Node in Libra. And this is Mars retrograde, so there's matters of the heart too. It's happiness, it's fulfillment, it's trying to find a can-do attitude without feeling defeated, or feeling like we lost something or lost some like pep in our step. And to see that there's still ways to locate the fun, there's still ways to smile, there's still ways to root into what's gonna make us happy as we're managing this new reality. This Mars is getting closer and closer to the strength, the full potency of that opposition to Pluto. And so there is a transformation waiting for us to go into this new world, but we also have to take a look at the things that our ego, just headstrong nature of what we want happiness to look like, may be almost like evaporating in front of our very eyes. And that could deal with childlike comforts of wanting to know like where things are going. This could deal with control issues. This can deal with just not letting go of like something that's actually for all technical intensive purposes not making us happy anyway. It's just something we got used to identifying with. So this could include the comfort zone of relationships, especially, love, romance. It could even be the approach to kids, like parenting children, the approach to your inner child, the approach to creativity even. It's like after I finish doing this, I might have to look back and go, was that really what I wanted to create? Is there some Pluto and Aquarius like adjustment that I can make to be more outside the box and be a little bit more expressive, which is always my greatest desire for me in my chart, my astrology, being a North Node Taurus, my rising sign, not so South Node Saturn in the 7th in Scorpio, like laying down the intense, reality of things and where we get stuck and shit. But, this is astrology where it can feel like a part of us, not all of us, but is like running on exhaustion a little bit. I don't know why it reminds me of the athlete that's like doing his intense training and he's like on the treadmill with the oxygen mask, and it's almost like an experiment to see how far we can go. And I think that's what we're almost getting right now with the Jupiter-Saturn square, where I think sometimes it can feel like being boxed in, and it's weird, but it's almost like being our own lab rat of, finding the experiments of the creative expression of our happiness. That could include our love situations with relationships, but also just happiness and fulfillment in general. And remembering too, South Node in Libra, it's most definitely not about the relationship refilling the tank. It's us and how we show up to the relationship. But this experiment is seeing how far can we go. That way, as we get pushed further and further to our edge, not only with the full 20-year cycle Pluto in Aquarius, but even just these next few years, hell, even just these next few months. The South Node that'll move into Pisces, North Node moves into Pisces January 11th. The nodes go backwards from the rest of the planets, and the node shifting in that way, the North Node shifting from the very first zodiac sign to the last one, is a big cosmic shift. Like, that is something that in itself is monumental, even though, yes, it does happen every 18 years, and even though, yes, there are more rare things happening, like this Mars retrograde, especially opposed Pluto, but it's a thing where with Saturn, with Neptune there, the rarity of Saturn taking 28 years to go around the zodiac, Neptune 165, and then to have it with the North Node, it's like all eyes are almost on endings in a weird way. It's like, what are we wrapping up? And so we're not there yet, but I'll get to that in a future video. But this is why it's okay to know that, like, there's some things we're just going to have to finish up with in these coming few months for a new initiation and a restart of this reality that's coming by the spring. And so it's not really a time to like worry about the exact details of like where life's going. It's more about the aesthetics of it. And when I mean aesthetics, I mean like this is like managing our vibration, but the management might even be a poor choice of words, because that could imply a sense of too much construct, planning, and control, and we're fading out of that reality too. So it's more about check in with that solar plexus. Does it feel strong? Because that's a reflection of your personal power, of your aura, which is more of a fact checking of the illusion of the physical reality and the spiritual reality. And there's sort of this like middle ground of like living between the veiled world of the spiritual and the physical. And it's funny too, some people say, it's the illusion land of Pisces and the spiritual. Some say the physical is an illusion. So in essence, there's implications that it's all, just the illusion of the holographic reality. So I think we're just getting opportunities to play and step into transformation on levels that we haven't known before, that we don't really have a playbook for. And the closest playbooks that we could even have might be like older prophecies, from someone like Nostradamus, or, pioneered free thinkers that just knew how to not be anything but an innovator, a free thinker, to step outside the societal norms, because that's really our biggest challenge with our ego, with that Mars retrograde in Leo opposed Pluto in Aquarius, is can we see that we were part of the machine, that we were a brick in the wall in one way or another, with certain limitations to our consciousness, but now we get to evolve that. But we have to be willing to look at what is it in our ego identity that, tried to make our whole life feel like a rom-com with a mild plot twist, when in reality we're stepping into some zones for the collective can feel like a half-ass horror film. And how do we not be a part of that? How do we not go crazy just because we're going through change and transformation and get swept up in that? There's so many reveals coming, and there's going to be a lot of speculation and puzzle making by people, where some people might try to make a career out of stacking conspiracy theory on top of conspiracy theory. And that's the hard part too, is there's going to be so much hidden uncertainty that there's not a single one of us as individuals that has all the keys, all the answers. Like, it's like the key maker, the Chinese guy in the Matrix movies. I think he was in the second one. Yeah, the Matrix Reloaded. There's no one that has like all those keys. Like, he even died in that movie. It's like, this is the end of Sag season. The sun is past the galactic center of the universe. It's at the end. We're headed into the winter solstice in Capricorn. Mercury's like covering its tracks of the retrograde, of just so many things to try to figure out how to implement into our life. And chances are we're not going to be able to get it all perfect, because there's just too much. It's messy. But the doors have already opened, is what I'm getting at, with how the Sagittarius energy is rounding out. Sag is all about opportunities, growth, expansion, unlocking doors. So this key is the key maker. It's like that transformation has already happened. We just have to be willing to walk through them. And it's about going into that unknown now. I haven't posted the graphic of the hero's journey. It's that call to going from the comfort zone of the known and the plan to the unknown. It's been covered a lot of different archetypes in movies, but I think Luke Skywalker is a great one. He's on the farm. He wants to be a fighter pilot. And then Ben Kenobi shows up. He's like, hey, you've got a bigger mission, bro. And I think that's what is all coming for us. When Saturn-Neptune meets at 0 degrees of Aries, is a reboot of a spiritual mission. And also the reason why some of our visions and the reality of where things are at haven't matched. And, could even feel like prophecies of things that people feel like they're supposed to do on this planet. It hasn't matched yet. So it's either going to become real of what you saw, or it's a rebuilding of the aftermath of maybe a failure or a timeline that maybe didn't even work out. Who the fuck knows? Like, there's so much just unknown that we don't know. And we've reached critical mass point of trying to be smart and plan our reality to try to create some positivity, optimism, comfort, and we're not going to be able to do it. I'm looking forward to seeing what the solstice brings, because I think that sun in Capricorn, there's an element of more the strategic planning of restriction, of focus, of just more just seeing the time frame ahead that you can see in your life that's not too far ahead. It's like it's like literally like the old school Capricorn would be like, let's just get through the winter. Like, we're planning to get through the winter, we're planning to get to the spring until the crops are growing again. The fact that the Mars retrograde will finish in Cancer, I believe it's the 27th of February. It's like, and then it's got to take some time to get going again in its direct motion. It's almost like, guess what? Yeah, we do have a lot of slowdown energy to make some really deep, profound adjustments over these next almost few months. So the plan's not so much about the big world that we're going to take on, because the world as we know it is changing so much in that way. It's like I used to watch this movie with my son when he was younger. He's 15 now. It was the Wreck-It Ralph movie. It was really cool concept because, we both like video games. I played them a lot growing up. And it gets to a point in the movie where it's like, but wait, I haven't crossed the finish line. And it's like, there is no finish line because it had been swarmed by what was essentially the enemy in that movie. So that's what's really weird, is there's almost like a dismantling of the reality that we knew that's already happened. And so like now it's like the rebuild of like the AI machine type of world that we're stepping into, and the ET type of world reveals Pluto and Aquarius that after any shocks happen in our life or reactionary moments, we still get to own our potency, our power to decide what element of surprise do we want to invite in that comes from our frequency, that comes from our vibe. And Yeshua and Mary Magdalene walked this planet, I guarantee that once they stepped into their element of doing their thing, they weren't overly strategizing and planning and worried and shit. They spent most of their time listening and just devoted to what they were being asked to do. And they were able to heal all those people by keeping their vibration high. So what that means for us, it can start with the basics of dieting, good rest, movement, exercise, is to keep your frequency up. It's not to have a fucking six-pack, like last I checked, a six-pack isn't gonna help this world evolve. But keeping our frequency high, staying connected spiritually, using discernment of the frequencies that are around us, that's going to be the thing that wins one spiritual battle at a time. It's a battle that is being fought in the mind. And all the concepts of what it even means to be a human anymore. It's just so much shifting. Monumental stuff. But the last thing I'll share before I wrap up here is I was contacted by a dear friend who said that she received a message to give an activation to certain people around the area that we live, the Midwest, and these activations, it's essentially just an upgrade in consciousness. It's something I do for people, believe it or not. You may not realize it, but if you really listen and take in the stuff I'm saying, you're getting an activation from me. And, even the activators, the channelers also need their help and support from community. And so she gave me this activation. But at the very beginning of it, I was seeing like dead bodies, as if we were at war, like actual war. And it's just like, oh man, like, the heaviness, right, of having to be someone who has a spiritual embodiment frequency that walks this planet, that wants to help others, to deal with that heaviness of a high death toll. It's like, I don't want that. But I just sat with it. But then as the frequency elevated, as the density was releasing that I was dealing with, that this activation was helping with, just in life in general, it's something we're all shedding. There's no one that's not shedding something or dealing with something. And it shifted into a different timeline. So I just want to remind everyone, when it comes to your outlook and your reality, the world at large, don't worry about the significance factor of what you can change or not having any control or say-so influence in where the world is going, because you're a bigger part of it than you realize. And that you could call it activating your source code, like more matrix terms, right? Like your original connection to that spiritual avatar. It's like you activate that part of you, that essence of you, where your frequency elevation's way more than even just affirmations or even just exercise of the food. You're just intentionally accessing a higher frequency. Choosing that frequency has a true profound effect. So all of you spiritual peeps, healers, now's the time. You gotta rise up. They're rolling out the final mass in your face program of propaganda and agendas. And so it's not about screaming into the microphone, look what they're doing again. It's about being that high frequency. If you want to get an astrology reading, want to do some cool shit, click on those links down below. I'm out for now.